We are happy to have you here. My name is Peggy Nielsen. I'm the program manager for Henry Ford Sandcastle's Grief Support Program. And I want to introduce Kaylee Hanrath, our program coordinator, who's co-presenting this webinar with me today. So Sandcastles is a grief support program through Henry Ford Health System, and we serve families with children between the ages of 3 and 18 who've experienced the death of someone loved. So we work with a lot of families in grief, offer a lot of different programming and resources, and we're out there available to anyone in the community who needs us. And we realized in the midst of all of this 2020, the important need of self-care and the challenge of self-care. And so since we have lots of information on that, and I think what our work has taught us over time is very much that we need to do self-care and how important it is, that life is fragile and it is valuable and it is important, and we need to take care of ourselves and enjoy it as best we can. So that's why we're here today. We're going to share our tips that we came up with. Hope you get something from it, and we hope that you will share via our chat about how you're doing. So Kaylee.
Thank you, Peggy. I'm just going to take one moment here before we get started to encourage you, if you're not already following us on Facebook or LinkedIn, to go ahead and give us a like or a follow. We've got some really cool stuff coming up. November is Children's Grief Awareness Month, and we're going to have some different educational pieces and just some fun stuff planned in November that we'd love to have you on board for. Part of that is our Getting Through the Holidays. We're going to do a series, a two-part webinar. The first part is going to give you some tips on, if you're grieving right now, how to get through the holiday season and create new traditions as a family. And then the second part is going to be some activities that you can do by yourself or as a family to come together during the season.
All right. All right, here we go.
So our focus today is practical tips for managing the lasting stress and emotional toll of 2020. So we hope that you guys will leave here today knowing some practical strategies to help you through the long haul. And we don't want this whole thing just to be us talking at you. So we encourage you guys, if you have something to share that you think is meaningful for the group, to use the chat function. Make sure you're sharing it with all attendees and our panelists here so that everyone can see that and we can share together tonight as a community. And then if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the Q&A. And at the end of tonight, we'll try to answer as many as we can. So 2020, I know that we're all feeling a sense of heightened anxiety and stress, feeling overwhelmed. Well, to normalize this for everybody right now, 2020 has actually been coined the year of anxiety. So you are not alone in feeling this way. I mean, we've got COVID-19, we've got financial stressors, we've got racial atrocities, extreme weather, fires, charged political scene, all of these things coming together on top of your day-to-day stresses, because that doesn't go away just because we're in a pandemic, as we know, leads to a lot of anxiety and overwhelm. So we're here to tell you tonight, you are not alone in feeling this, and this is affecting all of us in different ways.
We were talking earlier, we were talking about Brene Brown's FFTs. And so she's got a podcast that came out somewhere in the beginning of this pandemic, and it just happened to be on what she calls freaking first times. She might have a different F word for it, but that's what we're going to use. And just really how we are all in new stuff. This is all new, and just identifying that and acknowledging that can be really empowering and kind of let you just chill a little bit. So we find ourselves in our team, even in our team meetings, and we're trying to tackle a task and looking for the right answers, that really, this is an FFT. Like, give yourself some grace. It's the first time for a lot of things that we're going through. So be gentle with yourself.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, being gentle with yourself. So the good news is you're here, you're recognizing that you need some of this information to help you through the next few months and beyond. And so be gentle. Our expectations right now of ourselves should not be the same that they were pre-March. Maybe we need to shift our ideas of what success is right now to fit this new pandemic and navigating that. So that's going to look different for everybody. So we encourage you to be vulnerable, but also be gentle with yourself. And as Peggy said, show yourself grace. This is hard work. We're here for you to work through it. So if we can just take a collective deep breath. And then a pat on the back for being here and showing up for you tonight.
You're important.
So let's look at the big picture here. So our current world right now, what we're all experiencing, not just Michigan, not just the United States, but the entire world is experiencing this collective trauma. So this is the impact that something traumatic has when it affects an entire society, gets into the grooves of entire groups of people. So collectively, we're grieving, we're overwhelmed, we're stressed, we're all experiencing this right now. And what we've also got at play currently is this idea of compassion fatigue. So as individuals who care for other people, it's inevitable that our exposure to others' trauma and caring about them and trying to help others through that is going to lead to this compassion fatigue, sometimes called secondary traumatic stress, or maybe you've heard it called burnout more recently. But as people who care, as people who are empathetic, it's inevitable that we're going to feel that.
Absolutely. And sometimes just looking at this particular slide that we did is just tiring. They're big concepts, big words, and just recognize where we are in the world, that we've never been here before, in the midst of all of this all at once, and even in the midst of a pandemic, one day at a time, one moment.
And it is a lot to deal with, and there are different ways that each of us are going to cope with these different things. These are just some of the physical, mental, emotional impacts that holding on to this stress and anxiety and overwhelm and trauma can bring with you in your day-to-day. So you might be experiencing one of these things, maybe more than one of these things, maybe something that's not even on this list, but it definitely, the cost of caring for others and for the collective society is going to impact us physically, mentally, emotionally, so on.
That a friend of ours had shared, we should have added brain fog to the cost of caring, because isn't that true? It's just the ability to think straight sometimes is awful. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely feeling that. So to kind of back up the last couple slides, I really thought that this quote was powerful and backs up what we were kind of sharing. So the expectation that we can be immersed in suffering and loss daily and not be touched by it is as unrealistic as expecting to be able to walk through water without getting wet.
That's one of those quotes I think that's worth reading twice. Just really think about those words. I noticed that sometimes I want to deny that we're in the situations, and you just kind of, you're in your room and you look around and your room looks normal, but really everything outside of my space is not our normal, or what used to be our normal. We'll have to see what our new normal is. But there is so much. And someone, Kaylee, in the chat box mentioned we could even add the upcoming holidays to the stress list, because aren't those stressful enough? And so how do you get through this holiday season or anything that's coming up and you can't even expect the holiday season to be the same as the last, right? It's the world and the pandemic and everything is going to affect that. Are you shopping in stores? Are you going there? Are you getting together for holidays with people? It's going to touch us, and it's going to get us wet in the middle of this. So all the more reason to figure out how to stay as dry as possible, or how to get the towel and dry yourself off.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that this definitely reinforces for me that you can't be someone who cares for other people or cares about other people and not care for yourself, which to me makes what we're going to go over here in just a moment, some of these ideas, extremely important.
Yeah. And in our chat box, they're talking about that brain fog, and that it's actually a scientific symptom of the COVID experience.
Mm,
So that's some research that is really interesting.
thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. So, starting this journey then towards investing our time and energy in ourselves to be able to help others, um, you know you best. And so, taking these steps here are important to, you know, figure out your needs and then work through that and do what you need to. So take responsibility. So taking charge of your own mental health.
Yeah. You know, as we were talking about this one, it's very much, you know, it's very much of really taking a time to stop and be mindful and realize that when you're talking about you're in charge of your own needs, like you are who sometimes I hope, and I kind of wait for that, knight in shining armor to come, or mine is always like the little mice from Cinderella. I would love for the little mice from Cinderella to come to my house and just clean my house for me so I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's great, those magical thinking. I miss that part about childhood, or maybe I'm still doing it as an adult. But I kind of hope that. But you know what? In the reality, even when you're down in the dumps and you're and having a really hard day, I I need to take responsibility. I think this is something I've learned over the years. I need to take responsibility for myself, because really I'm the best at it. I know myself the best, and I can't necessarily rely on someone to come pull me out of the well. So it's really important to even have a whole bunch of strategies and find the one that works really well for you. So taking responsibility and figuring out is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Totally get that. It's hard work.
Also, yes, listening to your own needs. So I know this one, especially for me, I used to get so mad. My husband, he lays down and within a few minutes, he is asleep for the night and he is out. And there are a lot of nights that I'll lay in bed and I can't shut my mind off. I'll lay there sometimes for hours just sitting thinking. And so this one for me, listening to my own needs, I found an app, the Calm app. I know there's a few like it, but listening to a meditation is really what puts me to sleep a lot of nights. So I definitely feel that one. That one resonates with me personally. But listening to yourself, you know you the best. You're different than anyone else. You know what you need. Pushing yourself to do the hard work that is self-care. So this isn't always easy, is it, Peggy?
No, it is really work. Somehow that doesn't fit, right? Self-care, should it be work? Somehow I don't know, maybe it's just me. Like, I feel like self-care should be a luxury, like fun and easy and relaxing, and I should just be good at it. And it's not, at least for me. So I guess I'd be curious to hear what other people have. But for me, it is hard work. Like, I too started to do some meditation really through this pandemic, at the beginning, when I realized I needed something. And it is hard work. You have to work at figuring, you got to find the right tool for you to use, but you got to practice. Some of this stuff doesn't come necessarily natural to me. So you have to do the work. I think it pays off.
Mm-hmm. I would
But it is.
agree on that. I think so. Setting realistic expectations for yourself. So kind of touched on this a minute ago that, what your ideas of success are right now, what your goals are right now might change because we're in a pandemic, and that's okay. That should be normal for everybody. And then treating yourself with the same compassion that you give to others, because you deserve it.
You do. We all do. Treat yourself as good as you treat other people.
So before we get into our tips, let's talk more just for a minute about coping. So how do I know if my current reactions to stress are actually destructive? And am I feeding the monster? So everyone gets stressed. Some of us can have reactions to stress that can actually be like a form of destruction or self-sabotage. And what I mean by that are things like negative self-talk. So how you talk to yourself, what are you saying to yourself in the mirror? When you're speaking negative things into existence, you're giving them power, whether those things are about yourself or about other things. So negative self-talk is a big one. Sometimes we don't even realize we're doing that, I don't think. Just happens, but trying to steer away from that. Also steering away from over optimism or over pessimism. So I've seen some of my teacher friends who were going back to school this fall were pretty anxious about being in a classroom with a lot of people, a lot of different adults, children in a big building. And their schools, they said, really, they felt like their feelings had been dismissed because the schools were putting out these things to the parents and, things like that, everything is fine. This is great. We found these measures to take. This school year is going to be fantastic. This is all, kind of brushing things under the rug, and how that over optimism really affected some of my friends who are teachers going into schools or, other workplaces that, no, like, can we sit in this for just 1 minute and just let it, not be so great? Like, that over pessimism or optimism can be a negative thing.
Yeah, it's like a fine line. There's a line in the middle, but you have to acknowledge both sides, right? So if you focus, I've seen the other side too, where it's just everything is negative. And like you said earlier, when you start to put that negativity out in the world, it just grows. So if you can only focus on the negative and you can only kind of go there, it doesn't, there's no way to get rid of it. Like that's the monster, right? Being too much of one side and not, you got to be able to acknowledge to a point where you can move forward. And that's the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good and it's bad all at once, but you have to just be aware, I think, is the really important part.
Yes, that awareness is key. Another few things here. So taking on too much. We've got big hearts. I know a lot of you here listening tonight have big hearts for other people, and that makes it hard for us to say no sometimes, which can lead to us taking on too much. And then being dismissive of incremental gains. So I know we talk in general, not just right now during the pandemic, about what's your 5-year plan. And, we talk about the big milestones in people's lives, but we don't take the time for ourselves or for others to celebrate the little wins and the little, goals that we hit for ourselves along the way. And that's so important for our mental health. And then avoidance or procrastination. I know I'm a big one on the procrastination. I leave a lot of things until the last minute, and feeling fine for those days that I've put that task off. And then by the time it's crunch time, right before whatever it is happens, that I'm so stressed that every time I wish that I hadn't procrastinated, but it just, it's in my wiring. It's something I need to work on, but that's a big one.
I feel you there. Totally get that. There's a lot of good chat, but if anyone doesn't have the chat box or can't see it, there's a lot of discussion that, yeah, it's very enlightening or empowering to just say sometimes over optimism or over pessimism isn't a good thing. That there needs to be an opportunity to recognize it. And if I need to face reality. Maybe that is, I need to face my feeling. Oh, we're going to talk about this later, Kaylee, aren't we? You got to realize what those feelings are, and you got to be able to face them. And if we can't recognize what they are, and that we don't all feel the same thing at the same time in the same way. So consequently, we need to be respectful of other people who are feeling differently and make sure we're not putting our own stuff on them or judging them, because judging someone else does no good, doesn't really help you, and definitely doesn't help the other person.
For sure.
Sorry.
So, knowing all of this, what's next? So, what we're going to do now is walk you through some healthy ways to deal with the stress, anxiety, overwhelm that you're feeling right now to help you today and in the long run.
All right.
So, our first suggestion here, our tip, is to connect with others. So, right now, we're all distanced, quarantine, isolation. So, finding ways to connect with other people is crucial, whether you can find a way to do that through technology. Whether you can find a safe way to do that otherwise, it's important to connect with others.
You can keep going. I flipped to the next page. We have some ideas for that, but I was thinking kind of along the same line, it's also super important to respect what other people are. So I heard someone say in the midst of this, like, if you're gonna have a gathering, depending on what the laws are at the time, if you're gonna have a gathering, you need to like focus on the person who's the least comfortable. Because if you can meet the needs of the least comfortable and everyone else can respect that, then you're good, right? So if I don't want to come over to your house, like if I want to come over, it's okay to wear a mask inside. Like when I go over to someone, I'm like, do you want me to wear a mask in the house? Like I'm good with that. Like, I want to match what they're doing, whether or not. And I think that's just the respecting the other people. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I've definitely felt that different dynamic. People are in different like places right now. What people are comfortable with is so different, and finding that balance can be hard. So we've come up with some creative ways here to try and maybe help bridge that gap. If you're, getting tired of your usual FaceTime call or, Zoom meeting, here are some ideas that you can take with you to use to connect.
So one of the ideas that we got from the National Alliance for Grieving Children, which has been a great resource for us, we connect with small and big organizations across the country that do the same work that we do with grieving children. But one of the ideas was a book club. And the person had the idea, was in their book club, you didn't all have to read the same book. You read whatever book you wanted, and then you brought your book to the club and everybody discussed the book that they were reading, which I thought was a really intriguing way to run a book club.
Definitely.
And Kaylee, you've done some watch parties, I know.
Yes. So actually, my friends and I have been doing what we've been calling Motion Picture Monday or Movie Monday. There's it's like something you can download through Google Chrome if you use that as your internet browser. That lets you create a chat room while you all watch the same movie at once. And I know they're expanding. It was Netflix Party, if you've heard that. But they're expanding it so people with Hulu or Disney Plus or Amazon Prime Video can watch movies together. And you're literally watching it in real time together. When someone pauses it, it pauses on everybody's screen. And you can chat, while that movie's happening. I know for me, sometimes by the end of Monday, I'm like, oh, I want to connect with somebody, but I don't want to get all dolled up and get on a Zoom call, or I don't feel camera ready. I'm sure we've all felt that way. Then that's a great way to be with someone and feel connected, but also, not need to get dressed up. You can just, sit on your sofa and talk with your friends or family.
That's awesome. And these days we need to come up with some new creative ways. We did a dinner party with friends on their back porch, and I mean, we were a good 12 feet away from each other on the back porch. But apart from that, it was just like it was. We got takeout, we had fun, we laughed, we caught up, we shared stories. Nice to be able to do. So we got to get creative in the times of COVID, but we can do it.
Mm-hmm. So another tip is practicing gratitude. So recognizing and appreciating the things you're grateful for that bring you joy, what things bring you peace, what things bring you comfort.
I had a gift idea. A friend of mine gave me a glass jar, and I think she decorated the outside of it with Sharpie markers, and she tied a ribbon around the top of it. And on the ribbon, she attached just a little clip with sheets of paper and then a pen, and it was a gratitude jar. And so I just like unclip one of the pieces of paper, and I'll write what I'm grateful for and unscrew it, put it in the jar, and I have like just this whole, but it's a kind of like a gratitude book, but a little twist on it that made it really fun, and it's really cute.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that idea.
Yeah. Gotta
Well,
share our good ideas.
we have another idea to
Oh, we
share
got a
with you
good idea.
guys that we're going to be kind of pitching here in November. So as I mentioned before, if you don't already follow us on Facebook, I encourage you to go ahead and give our page a like. Again, we're Sandcastle's Grief Support Program. What we're going to be doing in November is this 30 days of gratitude. This is going to allow us to connect with our community in a way, figure out what things bring you guys peace and joy, and you can give back to us by sharing your ideas. So I kind of blew up a few days here so you could see like each day is going to have a prompt. So like the 14th is going to be a book that I'm grateful for. And then the 15th will be a meal or a food that I'm grateful for. If you want to share some really good quarantine recipes with us on that one, we would love to hear them. But we'll do that for every day here in November. You're welcome to take this graphic off of our Facebook, print it off, and do it as a family. Or just, join us every day in our comments of our posts and let us know what you're grateful for.
I'll be participating. It's going to be fun.
So our next tip is kind of a two-part tip here. So developing a plan, and we're going to walk you through two different plans that you can make. One is going to involve your household and how you can mitigate the risk of maybe contracting COVID-19 and reducing your anxiety surrounding that as a household. And then the second part is going to be things that you can do individually, and we're going to walk you through how you can make a plan to reduce your own anxiety.
Important.
So our first plan here, this is something you can do with your household, as I said. So what you'll want to do to start is you're going to seek reliable information. So seek science-based sources. Maybe that's the CDC for your family, or maybe that's something else, whatever you guys decide, and you're going to follow them for updates for, what kind of things you should be doing, what safety measures are they recommending, and, getting that information, updating it every once in a while so you have the newest protocols there. And then you're going to take that information that you gather and prepare your household members and create this plan, these ideas, and make sure everyone's on the same page of how you can protect yourselves inside and outside of the home. So what measures can we take if I need to go to the grocery store to pick up groceries? What can I do to limit the risk of me bringing COVID-19 back into the house to our family? Or what can we do inside of our home, whether that's to like disinfect or something else? What can you do? What measures can you take to limit that exposure for everyone involved? The next thing you're going to do, which is something I don't think about very much, but update your emergency contacts. I know like your phone, you have like your ICE contacts, your in case of emergency, should something happen that, law enforcement and first responders know to call in your phone. But this is also just in your home. I'm talking about who can you call when you need something. If you were in a sticky situation, who is on your list? Who is one of your contacts that you can call if you needed something? So making sure everyone in the household's aware of that, and what that might look like should you get into a sticky situation, is important. So taking a moment to update those as well. And then creating a care plan. So once you've figured all these things out and you're feeling a little less anxious, your household can sit down and determine, okay, here's what we've determined is going to protect us to limit our risk of bringing COVID into our home. But should something happen that someone in our family or our household gets sick, what measures are we going to take to protect them, and protect the rest of our household? So whether that's if you have a room or a designated spot that maybe that person would quarantine in, or a way that would, things that they touch would be disinfected, or things like that, all of that will help to relieve your anxiety.
I think that these are things we really don't want to talk about. There's some people, right? Like, it's just uncomfortable. I don't want to think about it. It's scary. But the goal really is that, if you think of it in this way, is I want to reduce my future anxiety. I want to reduce the opportunities that I come across something that is anxiety provoking. It'd be great to just eliminate them if I could, but also just to control it when it happens. So sometimes you got to think about the hard stuff. Like, I hope that nobody else gets COVID and this doesn't enter into any of our families or households. At the same time, I do believe that if it did, I would be much calmer and it would be a little bit less anxiety if I already knew what room the person was going to, and what bathroom are they going to, and how am I going to feed them? Am I going to get paper plates and put their food on a paper plate so they can just throw it away and I don't have to clean it? I don't know if anybody who's listening has actually had this situation or has ideas, but please share. It's definitely something worth kind of thinking about, and not to be scary. I don't want to make myself scared or anybody scared, but being prepared and having what you need, especially having it in your house. So if for some reason numbers go up and we end up in a stay-at-home order again, like, you don't have to feel the need to run out and get things. So it's really about that concept of trying to kind of prepare for the outside and reduce our anxiety in the midst of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So with that, we'll shift into what we're calling our anxiety reducing action plan. But before we can get into that plan and the steps that you can take to reduce your anxiety, we have to recognize our anxiety. And so part of that starts with thinking and asking yourself, what do I have the ability to control? And then the things that cause you maybe some anxiety are, what can I do to manage my reaction to the things that I can't control? So something that we talk a lot about here at Sandcastles in our groups, with our volunteers who are coming on being trained, is that your feelings are not right or wrong. Your feelings just are. Now, how you choose to deal with your feelings, to release those, to react to those feelings, that's what matters. And that's what some of those reactions could be deemed, right or wrong, but your feelings are not right or wrong. They just are. So it's important to identify what's causing the emotions that you're feeling, no matter if it's maybe feeling like an easier emotion for you or something more complicated. And then sitting in that for just a moment, recognizing what that is, and then giving it a name.
Mm-hmm. This is a huge concept at Sandcastles, and we even teach it to like the 3, 4, 5-year-olds. And so, you remember, Kaylee, the thing, like what I learned in kindergarten. Like, sometimes I just think that everyone should live by kindergarten rules. Be nice, be kind, be respectful, but in that, it's also, what do we learn in kindergarten? We're learning about the basics of the alphabet, like all of that, but we're also learning about like emotional regulation. We're starting to identify what are our feelings and what we do, and that's what we're teaching. So everything like Kaylee just shared about, your feelings are not wrong. You cannot control them. If I see something that causes me stress on TV, or something, the thought that comes into my head, or someone says something, I have an emotional reaction to that. I can't control that. I can't ever choose to not ever be mad again. I'd like to choose to never be anxious again, but I can't actually accomplish that and choose that. So in that, what I need to do first is to recognize that that's what the feeling. So how does that feeling come? And as soon as I can recognize it, I can label it. And like you said, kind of figure out where it came from. And very importantly, figure out how to get rid of it. Like, how do we get rid of these crappy feelings that we have inside of us so that they don't make us sick or reduce our immunity or cause us stress? Like, how do we get rid of those feelings? That's the really important part. So your feeling isn't wrong. What you do with it may or may not be. So if you get really mad, it's not a good idea to go hit someone. Or break, but what you do with it is important, and that's what's in our control. But we have to slow down and really be mindful and acknowledge and understand those. Yeah.
Well
for sure.
said. So that brings us into then our plan. So our anxiety reducing action plan, which now that you have recognized and labeled that what you're feeling is anxiety, you can start to go through these steps and try to, relieve those feelings, work through that. So I'll kind of walk you through this plan with a plan that I kind of have and I'm going to put into place here. Once we're done with this call, this will be one of my things in the next couple weeks I'm going to work on. But looking ahead, so planning ahead, starting to think about what worries me in the months to come. Something that's worrying me, I am worried about winter here in Michigan. It's going to get cold and specifically dark. And I love, the sunlight. I know the days when we see the sun less, I just don't feel quite as good. So that's my worry looking ahead. So planning, so I'm going to determine some concrete steps that I can take to minimize the anxiety I'm feeling about being cooped up and it being dark. What I'm going to do is buy one of those lights that you can put, one of those sun lamps or sun lights that you can buy online to help bring some sunlight in, even though I can't change, what's happening outside, but I can change what's happening in my little bubble here. So that'll be my plan. After this call, in the next couple weeks, I'm going to act on that. I'm going to buy that light. I'm going to, as we see less sun, start to use that and see how that works. And then I'm going to look back maybe a month from now and reflect on that. Is it working for me? Am I still worried? Am I, still feeling negative feelings about there not being as much daylight? And what can I do, to go back if I need to and plan again and come up with a different idea? I mean, we're all human. We make mistakes. This light may not fix all of my feelings that I'm feeling, but the good thing is I can go back and try again.
Yep. I think too, we were talking about in my house, just like, okay, so if winter's coming and we're stuck inside and maybe we're not gonna be as social and maybe, with the pandemic, numbers are gonna go up is what they think. So what do I need to reduce my anxiety for later? Like for me, I just like to have a set. I'm not looking at hoarding. That's not what I'm trying to do. But, whether if it makes you feel better to have the extra set of paper towels or just an extra set of toilet paper, that seemed to be a very, toilet paper was a huge issue in 2020.
Hot commodity.
It was. So if buying one extra package of toilet paper is going to make me feel better just to have that, just as a backup in case I need it, then why not do it? Like, that's just if it's gonna reduce my anxiety later, then let me do it now. So maybe for me, I was thinking like, maybe even if it's really cold or icy or whatever, and I don't want to go out, we get takeout food. Maybe I need to make a big pot of chili and freeze some of it so that I always have some backup meals that I don't even have to cook if I'm feeling down and I just want to heat something up really well. So I think kind of just really think about what are the things that in January, I'm sitting in January, like what might be causing me stress and what can I do about them today? So we, in essence, want to really kind of plan ahead. That's the key of planning ahead. And I love your light example. For me, I've already warned my family that my house is going to be covered in Christmas lights this year. So I'm just, and they're going to stay up until February because I don't like those short days either, but the twinkle of those lights, you can get all sorts of lights in different colors or different kinds. They just bring me happiness. So why not? Why not?
Right. We got to find that joy in the little things.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So moving on here, the next thing we have, next tip here is move your body. So whether you're someone who already works out and, you know, maybe you lift weights or you run or you do yoga or go for walks on your lunch break, or you're someone who's not getting a whole lot of activity right now and is looking for small ways, you know, maybe during breaks in your day to fit in just a little bit of movement. Moving your body is key and will help your overall physical and mental health. So we have a video here to share with you a quick conversation with Angela Moore, who is, Peggy will introduce in the video. I'll save some time here talking about movement and mental health.
Oh, Kaylee, they can't hear the sound.
Oh.
Angela is a friend of
Give me 1 second here.
She's with the Body Principle and very very supportive of our mission. We love Angela. Hi, I'm super excited to welcome Angela Moore to our webinar because Angela is a perfect guest to have to talk to us about movement and the importance of movement. So Angela is an NASM master trainer as well as a licensed therapist. So she's got the background that can help us be healthier and better in this area. So Angela, would you be kind enough to share with us that why is movement important and how does it affect our mental health?
Okay, yeah, most definitely. Well, we all know that exercise has numerous benefits, physical health benefits. When we think about physical activity, we often equate it to the prevention of chronic diseases. We also equate it to longevity, increasing our lifespan as well as the quality of our life. But what many people don't understand is that it also improves your mental health. The minute you move, you're going to increase your endorphins, which is a feel-good hormone. So that's going to naturally make you feel better. It also moves you into a sense of more positive well-being just by moving. Oftentimes I say as negative stress comes in, if you move, you can positively push stress out. And so one of the things that I will definitely say is that whenever you're feeling stressed, whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, if you can just tell yourself, get up, move, you're going to instantly start making yourself feel better. I can guarantee it.
That's so powerful. I mean, when you really think about it, you know, when you're in there's been times when I'm in a spot or down in the dumps or whatever, in a spot, and I feel like there's nothing I can do. Like I'm just waiting for somebody to pull me out. So that what you're saying is really incredibly powerful, and it's in your own hands.
Truly, truly, truly. And if you can make the decision and make the decision that whenever I feel sad, I'm going to get up and move. But if you can have that mindset and knowing that if I want to feel positive, I have to do something positive. And physical activity, we know, is a positive way to improve your mood and to improve the way that you feel about yourself, the way you feel about your current situation and circumstance. So why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah. What about how to move? Like, I know, like, I used to think exercise was a 4-letter word. So, you know, it doesn't have to be strength training and lifting 100-pound weights. Like, what are ideas around that?
Well, truly, I mean, and I want to, emphasize, like, strength training is great, during resistance training, which you just mentioned. Cardiovascular activity is great. Yoga is great for meditation, for holding, isometric positions for extended periods of time, and stretching and flexibility. But one of the things that's really effective is whatever you can do consistently, and you can do it in short bouts. Because when you think about it, if I've just told you that exercise is going to improve your sense of well-being and make you feel better and instantly improve your mood, if you have to wait till you get to the gym to do it, that's a problem. What I'm saying is that you can literally, in the middle of the day, you can get up, you can do 10 squats, you can do 10 lateral lunges, repeat that a few times, 10 repetitions each time, 5 minutes, and instantly you've improved your physical health, and you've done something to improve how you feel about, like I said, your current situation at that time. Yeah. You can do that in the morning when you first wake up, to kind of give yourself an instant boost to start your day in a positive way. If you need a little boost in the middle of the day, get up, do your squats, lunge side to side, do some jumping jacks if you have appropriate clothing on. But the one thing I like about the squats and the lateral lunges is you don't have to have on any like fancy workout clothes. Jumping jacks, you may get a little sweaty, so they want to tone that down a little bit.
Just do a couple.
Yeah, just do a couple. Yeah, but definitely those sitting down in your chair, getting up, sitting down, getting up, and then lunging side to side, even reaching down, touch your toes, extending your arms up. Great movements to help you get yourself moving. And like I said, very effective.
Yeah, don't sit in the chair all day long.
Don't sit in the chair all day.
Staring at yourself on Zoom calls.
I actually recommend for clients too, especially those clients that sit for extended periods of time, to actually schedule in, every hour, 10, 15 squats. And then on maybe one thing I gave a great suggestion I gave a client just recently, I said on the odd hours, do squats, and on the evening hours, do lunges side to side. And she loved that.
That's a great idea. And look somewhere other than your screen, right? Get away from your screen and look definitely somewhere other than your screen. Yeah, I'm going to try that. Yeah. I love strength training. It gives me a huge boost, and I love the way I feel after it. But yeah, on days where I'm not doing that, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do the hourly. Maybe we'll even do it in our team meetings.
Yeah. I say go for it, yeah. And make time for your actual serious workout, where you're going to do, a program, a true strength training program. You definitely spend time on that. But if we're talking about the mental health benefits of exercise, like I said, if you want to incorporate those benefits throughout the day, what I suggested are easy ways to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know that there's a lot of people out there that this will help a lot. So thank you so much for your time and sharing it with us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Angela. Again, we appreciate her coming on and sharing those insights with us. So the next thing that we're going to touch on is setting emotional boundaries. So this is one part of self-care that I find particularly difficult, and why in that first slide or towards the beginning, we were talking about the hard work that is self-care. Some of these things are not easy, but setting emotional boundaries are going to help you to, lessen becoming overwhelmed. So part of setting boundaries, why we set boundaries, is to take care of ourselves. So taking care of yourself is saying no sometimes. So not taking on too much or more than you can handle. Taking care of yourself is also not taking things personally, which can be hard, but is definitely a big part of self-care. And then another part of taking care of you is making sure that you come first. So I share this graphic. A thing that we love to put into our volunteer trainings for people interested in becoming facilitators, working in our kids groups, is the idea of the oxygen mask in the airplane. And for those who aren't aware, we've attached this little graphic to kind of share with you what that's about. So the passengers are on the plane and they come over the speaker saying, "Attention passengers, please watch this safety video." And as all of us who have been on a plane are aware, in the safety video, they always talk about putting on your oxygen mask before helping the person next to you or someone around you put on theirs. And so this passenger says, "That's a great metaphor for life." And the other passenger says, "How so?" And he explains how you can help more people if you help yourself first. So take care of yourself, otherwise you'll burn out. And we love that metaphor.
You is a very intelligent letter.
Yes.
And Y asks the right questions. And occasionally we need some bad humor. So, that works too. Anything to make you laugh. I think the other thing that is really important is that you just got to try. Like, whatever you're going to do, try. If it doesn't work or you fail, like, oh my gosh, I was going to do that 5 days a week and I did it once. Well, just keep trying again. Do it again. Keep going. Just like Dory says, just keep swimming. Just keep trying. We got to do the best we can. And I also think, like, thinking about one of my coworkers did this to me once. She called me on this. I was not being very friendly to myself and very kind and caring to myself. And she said, okay, if this situation was reversed and you were talking to me, what would you be saying? So I had to answer that question. And I will tell you, those were not the same words. I was really sweet and wonderful and kind to her, but I was being hard on myself. So you got to realize it and you got to catch it. And I should be at least as nice to myself as I am to other people. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh, and this next topic is a good one to be nice to yourself on.
Yes, this is another big one. So limiting your exposure to media, whether that's the news, that's how long you're spending, scrolling on your Facebook or, your other social media feeds. This is a huge one right now with everything that's happening. It's easy to, lead to overwhelm. So the good news is I'm not here to tell you that social media is bad. Actually, I think that social media is a really good thing when you use it in healthy amounts and you're using it to connect with others, in healthy ways. And it's good in general to stay informed on world events. You want to stay informed on things, not to a point of overwhelm, but it is good to stay informed. Now, the negatives of social media and the news are that, as many of us probably know, they have these algorithms, and what those do is they're going to keep you scrolling. Even if what keeps you scrolling and interacting with people isn't necessarily good stuff, it's stuff that's overwhelming to you. And too much exposure to that bad news, the bad posts, the divisive comments and the arguing, it can lead to overwhelm really quickly. So, start to think about, like, what news articles am I clicking on when I'm going on Facebook? Like, what am I most likely to click on? What am I most likely to comment on? And start thinking about that. One thing I saw on my feed just the other day was the news article, and the title was "Doctor in New York City Sick with COVID-19." And that was it. And it was a scary picture on the top in the hospital. But what that kind of deceiving title of that article failed to say was, the fine print was that the doctor was quarantined, had no contact with anybody else, and the experts were aware and everything was safe. And so there's posts like that that are going to, emotionally hijack your attention and use it to keep you scrolling. So being mindful of that is really important. So something I've done to consume less of those, articles on Facebook and things that will just keep me clicking is using a podcast for my news. So setting aside 30 minutes a day. The New York Times Daily has a great informative podcast. Every day they come out with an episode, 30 minutes. You can chunk out that time for the news. Same thing, there's the daily news brief that's only 3 minutes, and there's many others. You can decide, how much time you want to devote and what's not overwhelming for you. But that is a good alternative to getting all of your news from the, like the clickbait captions on Facebook or things like that.
Yeah, I get, there's the emails too. The 5 top news things of the day is another option.
So the next thing, we've all heard about self-care. We've talked about self-care a little tonight. So self-care is important, and there's many ways to do self-care. Different things can be meaningful to different people. So what we want to do right now is hear from you in the chat. And I know we're running a little short on time here, so we're going to start to go through the last few tips that we've got while you guys share in the chat with each other. What do you do for self-care? Like, what has been the most meaningful methods of self-care for you? And then just so you guys are aware, after the presentation, you guys are going to get an email. We're going to share some of our favorite self-care strategies with you. So maybe you can learn some more. Maybe you'll learn some on this call tonight and walk away with a sheet of some that you can use in the future. So this one we're just going to touch on briefly, just put it out there that getting a flu shot is something you can do this year to reduce your anxiety. I've had a few moments over the last, 7 or 8 months, however long it's been now, where I've thought, oh, is this my allergies, or am I getting sick with COVID-19? And, getting a flu shot is a good way. It's going to protect you from respiratory illness. It might not completely keep you from getting sick this winter, but can at least keep your mind at ease that, this probably isn't the flu. I got my flu shot, and, maybe I should be tested, or maybe it's something else, and we'll at least reduce that anxiety there. So another important key here that I've heard a lot of people talking about in some of our groups here at Sandcastles and other places is this loss of normalcy, and how hard it is with everything kind of flipped, 180, to create a new routine for yourself. Some of us are at home all the time. Some of us are still in work, but that looks really different. So trying to find ways to make a routine for yourself can help decrease the feelings of anxiety, help you bring back some of what that normal felt like before March, and there's a lot of important benefits in creating a routine, which we'll go through here in just a second. So some of those benefits gives you a sense of safety, reduces your anxiety, helps you with time management, and as I said, helps to create a sense of normalcy. I know something that I've seen and maybe will try is some friends buying those water jugs. I know drinking water is really important. I'm not very good at drinking as many glasses of water a day as you're supposed to. But they have jugs that have hours on the side of it, and you're supposed to drink so much by 12 o'clock and then so much by, whatever times are on the side. And that's something that even that could be a routine for you. It's something that I think I'll try.
I love that idea. I was listening to Mel Robbins, I think it was Mel Robbins, the other day, and she was talking about what you do first thing in the morning. So when you get out of bed, make your bed. That it just gives you off to a great start. And when you go back to bed, it's like being in a hotel, like, like you have a nice space to come into. It's nice and neat, and you can kind of climb back in and use it as your sanctuary. And she also talks about if you're going to move, when you get up, put on your workout clothes. Don't put on your tennis shoes. Don't, like, if you get dressed and you go out, to Target and come back and you don't have your workout clothes, like sometimes it just is like, well, I guess I won't do that. Although at the same time, Angela told us that you don't have to have workout clothes to move. So just move. Whatever you do, just move and breathe. Talking about breath, yes. There's a little bit of discussion of breath in the chat box, like making sure I realized how much I hold my breath. So I need to get into definitely a routine of just pausing and taking those deep breaths is huge and important.
There's tons of videos on YouTube you can watch to help you take deep breaths and meditate. That's a great one. We'll touch on this real quickly. Getting outdoors when possible, getting that fresh air, that vitamin D is going to help you boost your mood. Even if you can get that, for 5 minutes, take a break and walk outside, even if it's kind of cold, doing that is going to help. Finding something to look forward to. So seeking the joy, finding what excites you, whether that's something big or it's something small. We've got to find these things for ourselves or create them if they maybe don't already exist.
This we've came up with some great ideas on.
Yes. So if you have something that you're looking forward to already, that is awesome. Maybe you can start a countdown to whatever that event is. Maybe journal if it's something you can write about why you're excited for it and remind yourself of that you are excited for that and that's something to look forward to. And if maybe you don't have something planned or something you want to do, create that for yourself. Maybe that's buying yourself a gift to give yourself in the future, planning something to look forward to. Get creative. There's so many things. You know you the best, what that looks like for you.
Yeah. And people are sharing lots of good ideas, how important their morning routine is, puzzling, having things looking forward to is so important. So we had brainstormed this and came up with some great ideas. For my birthday, actually, I asked for one of those boxes that comes 4 times a year. Mine happened to be the Be Kind box from Ellen, but it's so much fun to get it. So I just got my box and I actually put it away. And so I'm waiting for a day where I'm not in the best of moods and I need something and I'm just going to go in. And there's like a number of things in there. So you can kind of take one out at a time or you can go through them all. So whatever floats your boat, but kind of just having something. One of our coworkers, Michelle, shared that she bought herself the Friends Lego. She loves Friends and she's got a son and they love doing Lego. So she bought herself the Friends Lego and put it away in the closet for somewhere in time in January when she needs a boost. So Kaylee and I have been discussing all these wonderful things we can do. We could have pen pals and we can mail each other like a letter once a month or a funny card or something so that when you go get the mail, you get something fun in there. You could exchange presents with someone else, give a $5 limit, and every first Monday of January you drop it on their front porch. Like, find a partner to help with your self-care and do it together. And if you can't find a partner, treat yourself. You're worth it. Buy yourself little presents that you can open once a week through January and February. But when, at least in Michigan, it's kind of dark and cold. All sorts of ideas. If you have any, add them into the chat box. Yeah, all sorts of good
please
ideas
do share them with
Things
us.
to look forward
Love to hear them. And so our last tip here for tonight is considering online therapy or support groups. Now, I know I'm someone who believes that therapy is for everybody. We all need somebody to talk to, somebody who's a third party sometimes. And a lot of these are virtual right now, not all. So if you're looking for something in person, I know some still are doing face-to-face, but and it might take you a minute to try different ones out, find out what works for you. But there are so many different options. And if maybe one-on-one doesn't sound like something for you, you can always do support groups. And that's our model. Having other people there to help normalize whatever you're experiencing is so beneficial. But you can try and see. Right now is a great time to try out different things and see what's a good fit.
We are firm believers in our support group model and firm believers in therapists. I used to say that I think everyone should just be born with a therapist at their side because it's a third party. They don't have a stake in your life. They're just really helping you look at all the angles and support. So just like from any other perspective, if you find a support group and if you try one and you don't like the first one, or you try a therapist the first time, you don't like them, just go on to the next one. Sometimes personalities are, you got to find the right fit. It's just really helpful. So please reach out for help if you feel like you need anything additional. And Henry Ford Sandcastles is here for you. So if you are a family with children in grief, or you have friends or family, or just need some kind of resources, know that, that's what we are experts in the area in, and happy to help in any way we can.
So we'll leave you with this, and again, congratulate yourself. You took the first step tonight by being here. And so now we're going to challenge you to take another one or two. You can decide whatever feels manageable for you. Let us know in the comments. You're choosing maybe one or two of our tips tonight that you are hoping that you can put into place in the next couple weeks to help manage your stress, your anxiety, your overwhelm. We're curious what you guys are going to, leave this with, and what you're going to start and implement in your day-to-day. We thank you for being here for this tonight, and, again, congratulate you for taking this first step. And so, again, thank you for being here. We're going to open this up. I know we're a few minutes past 8 now, but if there are any questions that anyone has, we're here to answer them. Again, we've got some events coming up in November dealing with coping through the holiday season. Those will happen on 2 Thursdays, right back to back, the 12th and the 19th. So if you're interested in getting some of that great grief information, then feel free to join us for that. And we look forward to hopefully connecting with you again soon.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was really a pleasure. I will be working on my own self-care. I hope you work on yours too. Keep in touch with us through our Facebook. And if there's anything that we can ever do to help you, we're here for you. Thank you, everybody.
I see some great plans coming in, things that people are going to do.
And it looks like
awesome.
A happy light
Cheryl has a happy light. How cool. I might have to buy one of those tonight.
There you go. A treat for the day. We should all have a treat for the day. Yeah.
My husband says every day is Prime Day when you live with my wife. Awesome. Oh, great ideas here.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Go take care of yourself.